check. Okay. All right. So I think we're all set here. Welcome everyone to this panel of geniuses. I'm going to exclude myself from the genius category here because I'm with some amazing individuals. And I guess we can just go ahead and start off by just doing some introductions, and then we're going to go ahead and kind of talk about the metaverse or whatever that really means, and then our experiences of how we've kind of brought really integrated blockchain into games, because we all have a lot of really cool standpoints. So let's get at it. I don't have like a little like bell, it's like ding ding, but hopefully we kind of go back and forth, combat a little bit, and have a good time. So yes, first off, who wants to, Mike, do you mind starting off with just like kind of who you are? See if I get this button working. There we go. And
me first?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the only round robin that we're going to do, so.
Okay, sounds good. I guess this worked, yeah. Okay, hey, I'm Michael, based in Tokyo, Japan. I used to work for the last 2.5 years at a company called Double Jump Tokyo, building the game My Crypto Heroes, which was the biggest game in 2018, 19, and early 2020. I was working on the engineering side there and also some of the NFT economics. This year I've been helping a lot with DAOs. So I worked with Yield Guild games, Blackpool Finance, and also a bit in the esports industry to bring NFTs there. And yeah, that's about myself.
Hey everybody, Marguerite DeCourcelle, also known as Coin Artist on Twitter. I've been in the crypto creative scene since 2014. We launched Blockade Games in January 2018. We've built things like Plasma Bears and Neon District and some other lesser known games like Ledger of Zabo and Metaboss. But yeah, excited to be here and talk about the metaverse.
Hey guys, I'm Batis. Here representing Space, which is a commerce virtual world. Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. Turn up.
Okay.
That's terrific. So my name is Miko. I'm a general partner with Gumi Cryptos Capital. So Gumi is a company that published the Double Jump My Crypto Heroes. We are actually a seed stage investor in OpenSea, a seed stage investor in Yield Guild. And you know, we're just super excited. Our family of funds includes an XR, AR/VR fund, you know, and I represent just the pure play crypto fund. So you know, we're long metaverse since way back.
And so then I'm John Wolff. I'm a game developer, maybe international game developer. Spent some time in Japan. I helped make Japan's first ever blockchain game that was called Cryptoink. I since came back to the US and then began utilizing these really, really cool NFTs that I helped make in like 2019 to actually bring them with more utility, and actually am making an augmented reality pet simulator. So you bring these NFTs and then into augmented reality to use them to, you know, do other play to earn mechanics, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit more. But so that's everyone. So here we go. And the first thing that we're going to discuss is, again, this term metaverse, which has been all around. We submitted, obviously, this pitch deck before, obviously, Facebook made their announcement, so now we have even more to talk about here. But in terms of what we kind of want to get into, gang, is, you know, we kind of discussed this as...
Yeah, so badly defined.
Yes, and so like how we actually maybe might want to bash it more than actually support it. So curious to know exactly how you would either define this, or rather how you would not define it. What are conceptions or misconceptions that you feel are
So one of the things I really liked is on Twitter someone was saying that it's a moment when someone values sort of the symbolic more than the physical, right? So I think, you know, because the word real in this context, it's sort of like, yeah, it's real, everything's real, right? So the question is whether it's symbolic or physical.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot to say about this. I think a lot of people are using this word almost like as the new word for industrialization 4.0, but I think people are just talking about, you know, virtual worlds in most cases, right? Like, I mean, obviously there's the IoT aspects and all the other stuff, but you guys agree on that?
I would agree on the IT. I'm sorry to hop in, but anyway, people, hop in. Like, we don't need to go around. Just start saying stuff when you feel it. You feeling it?
Yeah, I'm feeling it. Metaverse, I'm not feeling it. I mean, I don't like the term. It's like everything and nothing. So it's for some people, it's like a space. Like with Facebook, it's like, okay, you're in like this digital VR space, or like the Ready Player One, Snow Crash, like vision of like moving between spaces.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That's part of it, but not everything. I think it's also we are already in the metaverse. Like for me, like I don't know, Twitter, Discord, Uniswap. That is the metaverse. It's a digital economy. We have everything there already. It's just like text-based, basically. And it's also like a mindset shift that I think we talk about later, where it's like it's a lot about digital economies and kind of like digital ownership, or like an ownership economy almost. So it's like everything and nothing. So I think it makes sense to define like what are we talking about? Like,
exactly.
Right.
Hit it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess same idea, but I think it's more identity driven in the sense that your identity, like every individual can then have this existence across multiple different spaces, virtual spaces.
Yep.
And then it's the things that they own that then have relevance. Because if no one owns the things, then no one's interacting with them and they don't matter.
Very nice.
So if you own these things, and then you know which spaces do those things overlap in and or have relevancy, but it's core to your identity because it's the owner.
So there is, and so we're not talking about one specific place, right? We agree, but we all agree on that, or one specific thing. It might almost be more of this. You know, we're talking about how technology relates to humans or the human condition, where you almost have this. I guess I was kind of saying this backstage, where it's like this veil that we have our atmosphere, right? But you also have this other veil that's around the world. So if you're talking about the metaverse, the world is that metaverse. So we're all connected through phones, through social media, through everything we have. And so really, what's interesting is what we're going to talk about here is really how does blockchain keep us interconnected, really with game mechanics and all other stuff, but how it relates to the world itself as opposed to specifically one area that's like Ready Player One. So now we'll go into more of the nuts and bolts now that we've covered the topic that we were given to talk about game economics. I'm thinking Miko and Mike, you guys might have some really good stuff on this. Kind of again when we talked about specific terms like being a grinder, games that also obviously have intrinsic value, but some other crazy things. We can talk about play to earn. I feel like everyone here already knows what play to earn is. We can define it. There's other models that are going on. So what are things that people should really be thinking about when it comes to game economics as they relate to blockchain and video games?
So I want to jump in with an idea, which is the idea of time investors.
Yes.
So in a sense, if you're an Axie scholar at YGG, like you really have your own time, right? So your time is sovereign and you're investing your time, right? So the mindset is not, oh, your job is to grind Axies, right? Your job is actually to invest your time wisely, right? And, some people have a lot more time to invest than money, right? And I think the way to reason about Yield Guild is that it's an accelerator for talent among time investors. And we're going to see like billionaire time investors, in a fairly short order.
Right. So, and I'm sure everyone here knows what YGG and Yield Guild is, but if you want to kind of say how you feel that, we're grinding in video games. Everyone has played video games. You got levels. You got people leveling up. You're grinding for something. But you're grinding not only in the actual game itself, but grinding for another purpose, and that purpose is to be able to create value in something like YGG. So
yeah. So Yield Guild is the first metaverse labor union, but it's also a ragingly capitalistic hedge fund. So it's basically capitalists and socialists mashing into something insanely new. And the thing that I think is super important about the grind mechanic is the grind mechanic establishes an exchange rate between your time and some fungible asset, right? But once you have that as a base layer, then you have like infinity. You can go beyond.
And to add what you just said is also the time investment that builds ownership in those protocols, right? So it builds ownership in YGG if it's play to earn, right? I mean, Axie Infinity, same story, builds ownership in the game. I also want to offer, like, outside of the gaming space, there's probably also curate to earn, for example, like when you curate, art, so then you become an art curator. It's like a new job. So I think it's a lot of job creation in the digital world, in the metaverse, if you want to call it that way. And I think the protocols we're building, and this is where blockchain comes in, NFTs and tokens, that is just basically the value layer of how we pay people and how people can have ownership of the protocols that they add value to. And I think, that's very important when you build something in the space to definitely think about that very deeply.
There's going to be a bunch of _to earn models, I think, that are going to be really exciting. There's already like talks like learn to earn, socialize to earn, even exercise to earn could be really cool. Of course, create to earn is most relevant to me, but like even participate to earn. I don't know. Have you guys heard of any other cool ones?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to pile on quickly and say, like, you can spend 20 years putting things into Facebook, and they end up with $1 trillion valuation, and you own nothing, right? So I think that's really problematic. But I definitely want to. This format is tough on people who are polite, so I want to kick it over to
please,
Marguerite.
please.
And please butt in.
Yeah,
Like, we want to hear from you.
No, thank you. So I definitely like what you were saying. Building that base is so important. So you, in this model, you need to think about how can you create the funnel to be as wide and inclusive as possible. And also, it's very easy in our space to make things overly complicated so that a new user is like, oh my God, I have no idea how to play this game, which then you're going to have incredible user drop off.
Yep.
If they do have the incentive, they'll work through that. But usually when someone's just starting and they don't know about crypto yet, and if you've done it in a way where they can get NFTs and they're not very valuable, but they're just experimenting, like you have to make it really fun, easy, and then like lean into the complicated nature of if your game is going to have DeFi, you know, like, because that's a very, I don't know, have you guys ever heard of a game with DeFi that's successful?
So for me, what I want to say is this, right? Which is that what YGG is it is actually the full stack economic metagame above Axie, right? So so that economic metagame, which includes kind of a management simulation, is absolutely includes DeFi, includes everything, right? So that's the way I reason about it.
But in the actual gameplay.
Right. I haven't seen much. I mean, I've seen a lot of pitches.
I mean, yield farming is a DeFi game, I think.
But so there's the thing about like with DeFi, the thing that kind of drives me crazy is there's no reason why you just can't bot the whole thing, right? Just automate it. There's no real human interaction. But like how could you truly have, I mean, this is probably a complete tangent, but how could you have a DeFi focused application with game design that protects the integrity so it feels more fair?
Well, you're talking about the beautiful thing is you're talking as a game developer right now, right? Almost, and which is a good thing because it's how do you merge those two things together? You have blockchain technology, you have games. How can you blend them together to make a really good project all around? And again, we've really seen X Infinity really nail that down. But if you are using DeFi, it seems like you're just going to be doing gamification as opposed to really having a game experience. And that makes it harder to do onboarding, which you're talking about.
But what I want to call out is actually something really astute that Marguerite said, which is basically that DeFi is really about automation, right? And it's about botting. It's about, and in a sense, when you look at a grind mechanic, what a grind mechanic to me is it's a proof of devotion, right? So it should be unbottable, right? And, obviously there are ideas around kind of game mechanics that include almost like NPCs that kind of have bot qualities, right? So I mean, there's definitely like room for that, but I think ultimately like it's about humans, right? And it's about being human, and it's about humans owning things.
Yes. So we're getting into the weeds. I hope everyone is kind of like following along how sweet this is getting. Okay, we're not done. We're not done. We're going. But now just to kind of not take a step back, because we can actually circle back around the specific models that we have. Just to kind of go, because we're talking about NFTs, right, is kind of more how NFTs themselves are utilized in games, or rather in applications in the world around us. Hopefully, most likely games. But how do they begin to break the mold and be in the world around us, and how they actually affect our everyday life? And so we have some just examples, and also just some things that we have done in regards to interoperability. I remember like interoperability back in the day, again, was just like, you do something in our game and we do something in your game, and then that's kind of how you do collaborations. But now we've seen them all over the place in various forms. So real quick, just I guess one of the ones we've seen is obviously with Fidgetals, which I know, Batis, you're like all about. You can say a thing or two on that for a second if you'd like. I'm going to give you the mic.
I mean, it's going to change everything. Like, I think, like, right now in the audience, we still care about, like, how we dress in the real world, and this is going to continue. But, like, I think what your avatar is going to have, and sometimes it's going to be limited, you know? Like, maybe this hoodie he's wearing, like, it's a limited edition that you can only buy in space. And then if you walk around with it in real life, people are going to be like, oh, my God, like, that's the ultimate swag,
Right. Because Margaret, you kind of said something in regards to how personality is important. I think this is one way that you're able to express yourself in the way. My bad. Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say actually that one of the amazing things about kind of the symbolic, right, is that the symbolic is immortal, right? So in a sense, the symbolic is not subject to entropy unless it's part of the game design, right? So in a sense, and obviously entropy, like weapons and armor damage, create inflationary pressures or deflationary pressures in games. So the entropy can be a game mechanic that you volunteer to participate in, right? But I think that really what's primary is the idea that you own, like, let's say you own like rare Nike Air Jordans, right? And they're so valuable that the NFT allows you to print an infinite number of copies of the physical shoe. It totally transforms your relationship over the physical, right? So you now can you can paint the shoes, right? These are rare collector's items, right? But the ownership is digital. So that comes from Kashmir Patterson, who's Nifty-Co.
Yeah.
So that's not my insight, but like it's big. It's a big deal. It's a big deal about why the symbolic is the value capture layer and the physical is not.
Yes.
Have you been following the whole minting in real life trends?
Some of them, yes. Go ahead.
So they're actually really popular, doing these pop-up experiences of being led into a chamber, writing intentions, then being taken further, sat on a chair, screen drops down in your face. This NFT that's like associated with a hash of yours is minted and born in front of you with this low bass resonation coming into, feeling the resonation. So like that, to me as a game developer, I'm like, we're so close to like pushing that a little further.
Yeah.
With like theatrical, dramatic experiences. And I mean, you see it, people like are paying a ton of money to get one of these 100 seats of to do this event somewhere. And just look at New York this week.
Right.
It's all about the events and getting in, and the exclusivity, and then the events themselves are so incredible on the inside.
Yes.
Dapper last night had their
It was fire.
yeah,
That
it was amazing.
fire.
It was like interactive architecture, and how it was lit. So these experiences, the story, tying back to your in real life identity, your virtual identity, and that story that we're all sharing together,
And making it all just real.
I'm curious about this. How do you feel about like people like holding up a AR camera and like seeing more about your identity based on what you're wearing?
I think that's definitely going to. Although it took QR codes a really long time to take off. Like even art galleries wouldn't put QR codes up on things because people just don't like doing it. And so I do think that we'll get there. And I don't know if it's going to be the phone or it's going to be something else.
Yeah.
But it does feel like humans really just prefer to just get on their screens when they're on their screens and then be in person when they're in person.
Well, so actually, beautiful segue. But in terms of AR and other things, so again, one of the projects that I was able to work on, or that I'm working on right now, was to take this ability of utility of an NFT and then do something with it in a gamified sense, right? So we're able to actually take the 3D NFTs themselves that were born onto the Ethereum blockchain and then actually bring them into augmented reality, just as you can see here. So yes, you have identity because you're going to have a specific one that you think is so cute, but then being able to do more with it, to me as a game developer, is really important. And not from gamification, but like what can you actually do with an NFT itself? So I was just psyched to be able to have this kind of like really cool opportunity to be able to make this happen. And I really wasn't even really aware of the term fidgetals until recently. So I'm like, is this a fidgetal? I'm not exactly sure, but it's interoperability of NFTs in a really cool space. And so to talk about how AR can become to be played into how NFTs can be utilized is something that I'm think is really cool and can begin to kind of pan out.
This is Tone Tachi, so that's what he's working on. And if you want a cute pigs, go check it out.
Yeah, thanks.
Hype man.
But then, of course, other applications of the AR space or of NFTs would then be more of e-commerce, which is more of what Batis is after.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm the only one here really not in the gaming side. I really think like the other aspect is going to be commerce is going to be huge.
Right.
And I really like this example of comparing like how people didn't know like what a magazine was going to be as a website and like how it completely changed everything that like, you could unlike, you could comment, you could report bad journalism. And I think like in real life shopping or even like e-commerce shopping in a virtual world is going to have exactly that kind of a paradigm shift. Like you're going to be able to try it on in a virtual mirror. You're going to be able to like, you can say like, hey Siri, show me everything that fits my shoe size or that's only blue or whatever. And like the whole catalog just changes in front of you. Stuff like that. I also really believe people are going to use it as like myriads for merch and a subscription room and a ticketed event. And that's how you kind of like get retailtainment in a sense.
Yep, Mike?
Yeah, also adding to that, like if you're adding the investable layer as well to there, like if let's say you have users, right, like crafting patterns or like putting patterns together, right? And then you like some person is like the pattern creator and then the other person is like stitching everything together and doing like the shape of it and the other person is like the distributor, right? So you create like a whole supply chain of like new jobs in the metaverse, and then like going full circle, going back to YGG, for example, right? You can have people that create these things or curate things, and just like zooming out a bit in terms of like economies, like simple how China basically grew so much as an economy because they were like the cheap labor force of manufacturing, basically. YGG very big in the Philippines. Philippines can grow their economy by just being the cheap labor force of the metaverse. I think that's just really cool to also think about. Okay, why are we doing this? What we're doing? We're giving access, like good jobs, well-paying jobs, to these economies that like physically don't have access to those jobs.
But I think we're talking about the future of work. And to me, the thing that's interesting about what you're describing actually is you're describing that the designer of digital fashion actually is a time investor, right? And the thing that's really interesting is they're an astute time investor, because they're taking their non-fungible time and they're actually creating non-fungible assets, as opposed to like me. Like my job is to create my non-fungible conviction and translate that into fungible assets like dollars or equity or tokens, right? But to me, the thing that's extremely exciting is that I think the end game of the future of work is working for the delight of your community. Whether that's one other human or it doesn't, it's really that is a potentially uncapped value, right? Which is like a single person can like express devotion to another single person, and that's uncapped value. Like there's potentially infinity value.
100%.
I think there is an important theme there with the collaborative nature that NFTs can have. So both from an individual level, like the crafting side, but also then the community building side. But as developers should be thinking about NFTs as being tools for the community. So not just like in traditional games where the devs are just shipping content solely and they're the sole drivers of like the future of the game, because of the nature that we all we're working together differently. If you allow your community to add to be a yes and to whatever is being built, and they have an opportunity to contribute, then that's going to be the thing that is more sticky than just the user waiting for the devs to make their next ship.
Yeah. So.
And just to riff on that, like what you're talking about is you're actually talking about building a syndicate of time co-investors, right? So all of the engaged people in your community are actually investing their time in your content, right? So you're there, like it's collected, it's owned collectively, right? So that's the beauty of it.
It's cool how we're really taking these terms from games, because we understand that games are using blockchain, they're using NFTs, and we're again extrapolating them outside of how they relate to the metaverse, which isn't in one area. It's again how they affect the world around us in different ways. So we've covered some beautiful things thus far. Marguerite, I have you up here for another application of NFTs and how you've done it for kind of community building. You're welcome to talk about exactly this recent collaboration that you've done, if you would like to, for people who do not know, but you're kind of touching on this point. And we're good.
Absolutely. So this was Curtis Roach, who's an artist or musical artist, entered this space through TikTok. He's a viral content creator on TikTok. So TikTok did their first official NFT drop, and I was paired with Curtis on this project. And of course, it's Neon District themed because I have an affinity for cyberpunk. But anyways, it was an interactive beat mixer, and it's a game as well. So illustrator Tim King was a developer behind this NFT. And as you're playing the game, so you press like the lyrics, and then you have to do the kick and the slap, like the whole song that went viral on TikTok. And if you do it correctly, then you would unlock a secret NFT that you verified. It was prompted for you to verify through Twitter as just a super easy flow, and then you claimed your NFT, and there were only 100 of those. So this was a really the future of interactive NFTs and asking users to engage in the experience. To me, that is the future of the internet. We're making the internet interactive.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to kind of close a little bit with this idea, because Marguerite was talking about kind of how it's all wrapped around the human and it's wrapped around the user and what the user owns. And to me, what that indicates is that every single person in this room is a time investor, and the thing that is the scarce asset is your time, right? So, we don't know how much time we have in our time bank, and we need to spend that time in the absolutely the best way possible, right?
And it allows, now you can be even more efficient with it. Like, for example, that fashion example, you don't need to think of a whole collection, print it, get it done in the factory, and then just find out that, hey, people only care about 3 of them. You can just make a few, get your opinions out there, and then maybe in your virtual fashion show, people will be like.
So, as moderator, here he comes. Last words?
Get in the hook.
All right,
Mike.
Sorry.
Get involved, do something, contribute.
And that's your time.
Have fun.
Mint an NFT.
There we go.
Get involved.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Everybody get involved, right? Thank you very much to our amazing...